everybody, it's me Vanshika from Vanshika's World and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we'll be baking and we're going to be making a chocolate cake with a cherry filling and whipped cream frosting. Sounds delicious, right? So let's begin. For the dry ingredients, we have 1 cup of all-purpose flour, ½ cup of cocoa powder, 1 cup of sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and a pinch of salt. For the wet ingredients, we have 1 3/4 stick of butter, 1½ teaspoons of vanilla extract, 4 egg whites and 4 egg yolks, ½ cup of oil, and 1/4 cup of milk. So first, we're going to be whisking the dry ingredients. We're going to add in our flour. Now we're going to add in our cocoa powder. We're not going to add in the sugar yet, but we are going to add in our baking soda, our baking powder, and our salt. And now, we're going to whisk them together until they're well combined. Now that we have this whisked up, we're going to put this aside and we're going to move on. So now we have a bigger bowl, and then we're going to put in our butter. This has to be room temperature. Take it out. Okay. So now we're going to use a hand mixer. You need a hand mixer, or you could just use a stand mixer for this. And we're going to cream the butter until it's nice, light, and fluffy. Now we're going to add in only half of the sugar. So add half of it in, about that much, a little bit more. Okay, now that we have that, you have to be really careful because the sugar is going to fly. So put it on low speed and just mix it until it's light and fluffy. And you also want to remember to scrape down the bowl as you go. Okay, so now we're going to add in our eggs, all of them in, only our egg yolks. Once you add in your eggs, you're going to see that your mixture is going to get more of a bright yellow. But now we're going to add in our oil, put all of that in, and mix that in. Next, the milk. Now add in the vanilla extract. I have a ½ teaspoon, so that's why I'm adding it 3 times. Mix. Now, we're going to add in our dry ingredients. Mix that in. Add in the last batch. Finish this mixture. We're going to put this aside and we're going to bring in a new bowl. And in this bowl, we have our egg whites. Also, these egg whites should be at room temperature. So we're going to put them all in the bowl. Now we're going to mix it with the hand mixer. So at this stage, you can see that it's like a little just foamy at the top. It's not foamy throughout. So now we're going to take our remaining sugar. We're not going to put all of it in. We're going to put half of it in to this mixture. About half of it. And we're going to beat that. So after about 30 seconds, it's just a little bit more foamy. And now we're going to add the rest of our sugar. You want to mix it until the sugar is well incorporated. So the sugar is mixed in, and now we're going to beat until we get stiff peaks, and you want to gradually increase the speed. Okay, so now you can see that it has doubled up in size, and you are getting these soft peaks. See, they're soft, but they're not stiff. So you want to keep beating until you get them to be stiff. And then just hold up and don't really fall down completely. So it has tripled in size many times, and you can see that it's very stiff. You can see that these peaks are staying stiff, and also we can pull this up and we can tilt it and it will not move or fall. So that's when you know that you have stiff peaks. So we have these mixtures ready, our egg white mixture and our other mixture with the chocolate. And we're gonna put the egg white mixture into this mixture in 3 parts. So just put 1/3 of it in. It's very thick, as you can see. About that much in. And now we're going to use the cut and fold method, where you cut and then you take a fold and you're going to fold it in. So you want to remember to not overmix it, because when we were beating the egg whites, we have incorporated a lot of air into it, and when we're mixing it into this batter, we don't want to deflate it, so don't overmix it. When it's like this and there's only a little bit left, you want to start putting the other batch in. Okay, so this is all folded. There's no more white spots here, and we can move this bowl aside. Here I have 2 round 8-inch pans that is greased and lined with parchment paper, and you can use any pan that you would like. I'm just using these ones, and if you have any extra batter, you can put them in a cupcake tray to make cupcakes. And also I have a muffin video, so we'll have a link for that up in the I button. And now we're going to evenly distribute these into these 2 pans, and I'm going to fill it up to halfway. Now I have both of my pans filled, so now we're going to tap it. Tapping it just releases all the air bubbles. Other one. As you can see that these are tapped, and you will see something, this purple things here, and these are cake strips. And these cake strips are just help get flat layers. And we will leave a link below on where we got these cake strips. And if you have them already, all you do is you dip them, you soak them in some cold water, and then you just put them on the sides when it's damp and you squeezed it out. And then you just put this, and we're going to put this in a preheated oven at 350 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes, or until a toothpick that is inserted in comes out clean. So these are the finished cakes. They have come out of the oven and it's been like 10 minutes or so. So as you can see that the layers are pretty flat, and that's because we used the cake strips, which helped it a lot. And they've cooled inside the pans for a few minutes. Now we're going to let them cool outside the pan. So we're going to take the cake strips out. They will start to like burn out, but that's fine. Okay, so these are pretty warm right now, but we're just going to let them cool for a few minutes. And after that, we're going to wrap them with plastic wrap, and we're going to put them in the fridge overnight. And the next step is to frost. So it's the next day, and our cakes have been chilling in the fridge for about 24 hours, not in the freezer, the fridge. And it's time to frost the cake. And also, you can just put in the fridge for a few hours if you would like. So to frost the cake, we're going to first make our cherry filling. For that, I have 2 packets of frozen cherries. These are 12-ounce packets, but if you're using fresh cherries, you can use about 2 cups. And I have here a 1/2 cup of sugar and 1 to 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch. And you can start with 1 tablespoon, and then you can add in a half at a time if it's not getting thick. So we're going to go to the stove and we're going to start making the cherry filling. So we're going to start off by pouring in our cherries. So after we pour in our cherries, we're going to turn on the heat to high. We have poured in the cherries. I'm going to pour in 1/4 cup of water. We're going to pour in all of our sugar. We have been smashing the cherries and letting it cook, and now the cherries are kind of smashed, but not whole as much, and it has started to boil. We have now also mixed in some water to our cornstarch, and we're going to pour that in. This cornstarch is going to make it nice and thick. Put all of that in, and now we're going to mix it. You can see that where the cornstarch is, it's going to start to get really thick. At this point, if you need a little bit more cornstarch, you can add it. But remember, once it starts to cool, the mixture will get thick. We have now lowered the heat to medium. As you can see, it is a little bit more thicker, but it's not completely thick. Now we're going to turn off the heat. We're going to mix it for a little bit, and as it cools, it will get thicker. After you are done with making the cherry filling, you want to set it aside and let it come to room temperature. So now we're going to start assembling the cake. So we have a turntable. This is very useful when decorating and assembling your cake. There we have a non-slip pad, and we have a cake board which we made ourselves. We have our cake. We originally had 2 cakes, but then we cut them in half. Let's get started. So I'm going to take our frosting, and I'm going to make a dollop at the middle of the board, so the cake sticks on. We're going to put our first layer on. So now we're going to take our sugar syrup. I have a brush here that's used for cooking. Just going to dip it, and we're going to add it on to the whole cake. And this sugar syrup is going to make the cake really moist. Even though your cake is really moist, the sugar syrup really helps it and gives it the good taste. So now we have the sugar syrup layer, and now we're going to move on to frosting. So we're going to make a spiral. Now we're going to take our offset spatula, put it in the middle, and we're going to turn it to get the frosting. You want to make sure that your layers are even. So now this cake layer is filled with frosting. And the next step is our cherry filling. So you want to put some on with the Okay, so the cherry filling is now done. As you can see, you don't want to get to all the corners because then it's going to ooze out. This is good. And next, we're going to put in our new layer. We're now going to put the second layer of our cake. So we have finished the cherry filling and the frosting and the sugar syrup. So this layer is done. We're going to put our cake on top. So the final layer. Make sure this is even and press it down. So that is our cake. And now we're going to do a layer called the crumb coat. We're going to start off with the crumb coat on the top. So we're going to get our piping bag. So we have the crumb coat all done. You can see that it is not perfect. It just caught all the crumbs, so it will be better for when we do the final coat. So we're going to put this in the fridge for half an hour to 45 minutes. So we took out the cake and the crumb coat is done. And as you can see all the crumbs that were in the cake. So this is going to help that we keep it in the fridge so the crumbs don't come out again. And when we put our final layer, we don't see any crumbs. So let's start. I'm just going to take the spatula and put some in the middle. So now I have frosted the whole cake, and now it looks really messy, but we're going to be using a bench scraper, and I'll be leaving the link to all the supplies I use down in the description below. So all we're going to do is with the bench scraper, we're going to do the sides first. All we're going to do is that we're going to keep it against here, not put much pressure, but lightly make it even. So I'm in the middle of decorating, and this is my design. This is what I decided to do, so I'm going to continue. So there it is. The cake is now